Hi everybody, it is September 2020. It is September already. So, if you recall, last September I started my experiment with Hobonichi and I had a rather messy entry to the Hobonichi world. I still find their website to be very difficult to negotiate, but I will talk about that more in my Hobonichi 2021 video because I've made some orders. What I would like to do here is to review and show you my setup a year on, because a year ago and 2 months after I started, I think in October or sometime 2 months after I started setting up everything, I did a video and a review and how it went so far. So now it's a year on. So it is a continuing experiment. And one of the things that I found hard is that I wanted to get it over and done with. And I ended up buying 1, 2, 3 formats of Hobonichi because I can't bear the idea, actually 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 kind weekly. April start January start English, April start Japanese. That's coinciding with the Japanese school year. And I only bought that because of the cover that I wanted, the Chikyu-chan, and which is this one here, if you recall. And this one here is the 5-year Techo, because mainly I was after this lovely cover here, which I ended up, as you can see, not using because I use it this way, because as you can see, this is the kind of cover user that I am. I'm pretty robust with my planners because to me planners, journals and scrapbooking, those are 3 separate activities for me. Maybe I'm an old duck, maybe I'm an old bird, I don't know. But yeah, so I had to, because I wanted to decide last year for next year what format I like, I ended up buying all 3, and as a result I have done a lot of duplication. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was stressing me out. So one review is that if you have a choice to not do it that way, if you have the patience to try one thing after the other for several years before you decide on which format for Hobonichi Techo themselves that you like, then I would recommend do it that way. I did all 3 and I find myself, especially with the journaling part. So these two here are journals. This one here is my actual planner. So that's not an issue. That was a planner from last year. It starts last year in April. So when I bought this in order to get that, and that was issued in 2018, I believe. So I couldn't, I think it, yeah, that's right. Because it starts 2019. This came out, this 2019 lineup came out the year before, 2018. So I couldn't find this on Hobonichi anymore, and I had to buy this, and I found this finally in a reseller in Japan through Etsy. And so my first foray into Hobonichi was during travel, because in November I had to fly my mother to Singapore. And I had to do my own health checkup, and I had to do a variety of different to-do lists that was quite stressful. It wasn't traveling for pleasure. And so I found this to be very good as a planner to travel with, except for the weight. So this is interestingly a hefty, a really good book. It's sewn. The binding is sewn. The paper is superb. And let me show you. It just flops open beautifully. Look. I have a lot of information, personal information, in all of my journals and planners. So I'm not quite sure how you guys do your videos, because I'm constantly struggling with not showing my personal details. So you open this up and it just lays flat. It's beautiful. Especially if you like to use fountain pens to write, it's beautiful. For me, when I travel, I can't use fountain pens because they require 2 hands to uncap to recap, and when you sit somewhere you have to manage the cap. Not all fountain pens can be capped on the back of it, so you know you have to do this, and not all of them you can't. So you're holding one, and you imagine yourself in a train, or you're walking and you need to sit down somewhere, or not, or you know, right on your lap, and you have a variety of different things that you're carrying in your hands, on your back, on your shoulder. It's too fiddly. So I've decided that for me, fountain pens is a tabletop leisurely activities. And so that's a journal, and that's also a journal. So I'll get to that later. To travel with, I found that it is good to have this big space for one day, for your one whole day, because especially in my case, I didn't travel for fun or for leisure. It was a health emergency. So for example, if I have an appointment here, it's not just an appointment. There's the name of the doctor, the name of the clinic, the name of the hospital or the building, the street number. I have to find out which bus stop to stop or which train station to stop, where to catch the train to get there, and all the rest of it. That's just one appointment. For the next appointment, you have all that stuff again. So, and someone's phone number and the rest of it. So for me, it serves space-wise, it serves really well. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you remember from my video last year, I had a to-do list and I couldn't do it that day. And I have all these arrows going that way and move it to the next. Let me find if I can find that page. So I have this one to do, and then it didn't get done, and it just keep moving. It all keep moving. And as you can see, there's this big page that you can put a lot of room to do, you know, pack for Singapore. And then you have to get my, I don't know, Singapore dollar cash, rupiah cash. Those are 2 different currencies I have to get. And then there's some stuff for someone's friend, and then there's something else for something. Fill up details, a flight to Singapore, and then I have to buy tickets for Jakarta. And then I need, obviously I didn't get that Singapore dollars cash and rupiah, Indonesian rupiah cash. I didn't get that, so I have to, and that's just a to-do list which I could put up there really. And you can imagine in the scenario, for example, if I need to go to the nearest money exchange or the nearest bank to get this, or the ATM machine or whatever, I'll have to write that down as well, you know, where to go. And just, so it's really good if you are not worried about the weight. However, the weight is significant even though the cover is so light. Also, in terms of cover, just really quickly, if you are this kind of a traveler, you throw this around in your backpack, which I did. It depends on what kind of travel you are and why you travel, whether it's for leisure, whether you're staying in a resort, or whether you're going to be on your feet all the time. You can see the scuffing there. So these plastic, look at that, that's they do scuff, and I kind of regret carrying this with me, but I was so excited to get this cover and I wanted to use it straight away, and I didn't think about removing the Techo and using another cover to travel with. It was such a chaotic few months. The end of last year, the end of 2019 was very chaotic. I got married, my mom got sick, there's several international travels, so you could see the scuffing there, and I can't replace this this cover because this cover is especially made for the Chikyu-chan cover. So as you can see, this cover is speckled, so it's part of the design of the cover to go together. While a cover on cover is a simple plain plastic cover that you could always replace. So cover on cover is basically just a plain plastic cover that if it gets scuffed, you can always buy another one and replace that. So on hindsight, I think if I was had a bit more mental space to think, I probably would have moved that April 2019 start into a different cover to travel with, and then when this gets scuffed, I could always replace it. But you know, it's not a big deal. Just to be aware that the plastic is not completely resistant to damages. It's pretty robust against liquid, obviously, but you do experience some scuffing there, and so it depends on how particular you are about your covers. So going back to the Techo, so that's for planning, but it is heavy, and so the lightest really is the weekly, which is the Hobonichi weeks, right? So that's the weekly format. That is really the lightest of all. And so if weight is a problem for you, then you might be then the decision might be made for you that weekly might be the best one for you. However, of course, the downside is, sorry, I have to take it off camera. all the time because I have a lot of personal information, as I mentioned. So, however, you can only do so much within the day. A lot of your planning is hello weekly. So a lot of the movements are here for me, especially. So if Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, this is what I have to do in this month. And they move around quite flexibly because I'm self-employed. Things tend to move around quite flexibly within the week for me. However, for traveling, I found this too confining. When you travel, a lot of the times you are compressing and squeezing a lot more every day because time is limited and because resources are usually spent for you to get there. And so you want to make as much as efficiently as possible. Every minute counts. And to me, this gets a bit crowded. So this on a daily at home, it's fine. But because it's light as well, and so that kind of ruled this out for me. Even at home, it's pretty heavy. Again, it depends. If you're in and out of cars all the time, then that's probably different. But I am on my feet a lot, and because of that, it means that there's certain kind of bags that I carry. The bags have to be light. It has to sit on my back rather than on my shoulder because it can hurt your back when only one of your shoulders is carrying something, and if you're walking hours on end every day. So then this is where, for planning purposes, again, this is not, we're not talking journals yet. For planning purposes, I ended up returning to my Midori Traveler's notebook because if you see here, it is the lightest possible planner you can find, given, you know, providing that you can manage the weight here, because it's simply one piece of leather, a couple of string elastic, and this is the only hardware it has, and it's very, very light, and it is as light as you want it to be, as heavy as you want it to be, depending on what you fill it in with. With these guys, you don't have a choice. And so I realized that a lot of travelers notebook is now just a term for a particular format of putting your little notebook in straps like that instead of a folio sleeve such as this. So I understand that, but I understand now why it is called a traveler's notebook, because the weight of it, it's the lightest possible notebook you can carry while you're traveling. I haven't been carrying this to travel with. I carry this to travel back because I filled it up with a lot of mementos from the old house, and so I haven't touched this since because it's filled with kind of sad but wonderful bittersweet memories. So this just has been sitting on my drawer right now. So if I travel, I wouldn't stuff it up like this. But this is the other example that I've mentioned. While traveling last year, I found this particular traveler's notebook here. I bought this in Singapore in a local bookshop, in a local Japanese bookshop, actually, Tokyo Hands. And it is smaller, as you can see here. So that's not a plus, but oh my lord, it's so much lighter. It's so much lighter, and it was a lifesaver for my back, my shoulders, and everything. So travel wise, sadly, my conclusion is that Hobonichi isn't for me at all. Now, so for home, it's this one here, and for so that's for planning. And for planning at home, I am now going to experiment with the cousin. So I have the cousin, which is the A5. So the size here, I think it's the size. So the cousin, but a year split into two so that I don't have to carry the weight. The Techo is quite heavy. So I am now trying to do a split into two and see if I can use that as a planner at home. As a planner at home, well, this is a planner while I walk around. Because as a planner, the A5, which is the size, the bigger size, I believe is going to be too heavy for me even after it's split into half yearly. So I will report back for sure, and I'll show you that in my next video on Hobonichi 2021. So now we come to journals, and these are notebooks. Okay, so we have planners, journals, notebooks. So for journals, I found this to be too small. So it is too heavy to travel with, although the formatting and the spaces is perfect for me, but it's too heavy. And as a journal, it's too small. And you can see that I resorted back to leather cover because I'm more of that kind of girl rather than this. And having said that, I have ordered more Hobonichi covers. Why? I don't know. I suppose because if I do decide to carry it with me, to carry this journal with me, because I think I've ordered an A6 but date free, so I'm going to use it to journal. So as a journal, this makes the whole thing lighter because that leather cover is really heavy. So as a journal though, because it has, this is the original Techo. The original Techo is in English and it has, this is the English version and it has dates. For me, the dates is very confining. I cannot, and I knew this getting in, but I thought I'll give it a go. The dates such as this for journaling for me is suffocating. I cannot squeeze myself into one page. It stresses me out. It irritates me. So dated notebook is only for planning from now on. If I want to use it as a journal, I cannot have the dates. Right. So if I've ordered A6 date free. So instead of A6 notebook, because the A6 notebook is not thick enough, it's like this, which this is going to be used as a journal as well, as a dream journal, because I've ran out of pages after 10 years of the same dream journal, the same notebook as a dream journal. I think I'm finally running out of pages there, and I still have a thought journal, and this is just a notebook that I carry around. So those are notebooks at the moment. Maybe dream journal, I don't know yet, we'll get to it. So yeah, so as a portable journal, I'll use this but without the cover and cover, because the amount of plastic is really unsettling to me, and if they get damaged, then so be it. So that rules out the Mina Perhonen and all these lovely fabric cover for me, because I'm going to absolutely ruin them. So that's that. Now this is the 5-year journal, which I am a bit at loss as to how to use, and I have to admit I only ordered that because I wanted the, but you see how I use my cover, and so I don't think that is going to fly, not to carry around anyway. But as it turned out with 5-year journal, you could see that this is going to sit at home, right? It isn't something that you carry around. And so it ended up sitting in my nightstand next to my bed, which this kind of cover is okay, right? Because it's gently in your nightstand next to your bed. You only use it before you go to bed, and you know, it can afford to be delicate. So that's the box of the 5-year Techo. And they have the 5-year Techo in a larger size, in the A5 size, which is this size, the cousin size. So I'm a bit at a loss because this is new to me, and I think because I am not sure what I'm doing, I ended up replicating what I write here journal-wise in here as well, and that stresses me out as well. My obsessive compulsive tendencies force me to replicate everything twice, and that just really interfere with the flow. I think really ideally the 5-year Techo is probably to mark very big landmarks in your life, and I think it highlighted the fact that I think my life currently has settled down compared to the more adventurous years of my 30s and to a certain extent 40s. At the moment, this is going to cover the first 5 years of my 50s, so the first half of my 6th decade on this planet. And my life seems to have, especially with COVID and I can't travel, seem to have been reduced to, well, reduced may be harsh, but to a boring pattern of health related and financially related entry points. And so those are not really landmarks. I honestly don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how to use this, because I feel replicating everything to this particular 5-year Techo means that I essentially have a 5-year summary of what would be or what will be a 5-year, five of these. So 5 of these summarized in this one book. Is that all, or should this serve as something more? So I don't know. This is still a mystery. And as you can see, I think ultimately I'm a non-frill person come to stationery, and I ended up getting this from Baumkuchen in California, I believe, and they work with Superior Labor in Japan. So that's Baumkuchen's logo, that's Superior Labor there, who are also the people who created this as well. And you can fit 2 fountain pens here, but my fountain pens tend to be quite bulky, so it really, I just couldn't, I didn't want to force it in because there's all these moving parts. So yeah, I think it can fit pens like this, it can fit 2, but for the moment it's just 1. So this, I have to get back to you on this one here. But for sure, this is too small as a journal, and it's too heavy as a traveling planner. So at the moment, I'm no longer ordering the dated A6 Techo, the original Techo size here. But what I have ordered is a dateless one, and we'll see how that goes. This one here I've shown you is just a notebook, and not just, but you know what I mean, like it's kind of whatever you want it to be. And at the moment, I haven't decided what I'm going to use this as. So that's, and it's pretty thin. I would have loved it to be a bit thicker because I don't write delicately. I write quite large, so it means that I use up quite a lot of pages quite quickly. Yeah, this cover here is not, it's not great in my opinion, because it is advertised as a Hobonichi A6, which is this one here cover. And you can put this in here, but as soon as you put in the pen, it becomes too tight for it. And so for you to be able to fit in the pen and for this cover to close properly like so, instead of like that, you have it nice and straight like this, you can only fit in this level of notebook here. It means that this Techo, which is what this is advertised originally for, is way too thick for this and a pen as well. So somebody forgot to take into account that the pen takes a lot of space at the side there. So I have not been too pleased about this. It's Harris's Tweed, apparently it's quite well known in the UK. So this is simply a pocket notebook. It's just a notebook, and I've been carrying this around for about, I don't know, 6 years now. And yeah, so that's pretty good, pretty nifty. What else? Yeah, so that's my review for the Techo at the moment. Really, to travel, I think if this, really, I would go back to my traveler's notebook, Midori, or this. The leather batches tend to be different. This leather is a bit heavier, is a bit more oily, while this newer one, after they've rebranded as Traveler's Notebook, is a little bit more, it's lighter, it feels more porous, and also sadly it isn't as large as the A6. So this pocketbook is really small, and it really, you can really tell the difference. So yeah, so that's just, I mean, you can't have them all. So, you know, the weight is everything when you're traveling, because your shoulder can, it can really kill your shoulders. So that's that. Right. So really quickly, as far as journaling is concerned, rather than planning your days, what was I going to say? Right. So as a form of journal rather than planning your day, I found this format to be much better. So again, I don't even like lines, and this is what I'm going to do. So I am no longer going to use this dated formatting here. I knew it wasn't going to work. I gave it a go, and it just doesn't work. Not for journaling, but for planning, yes. So I will report back on that next year, I suppose. So that's what I'm going to do next. And what else? I think that's it. And the covers are, you know, pretty cute. But the amount of plastic is disconcerting to me. Yeah, I really haven't had much of a chance to... This is the only one I've traveled with extensively. And... the covers are really good and light. Unfortunately, as I said, the Techo for me personally is too heavy to travel with. So yeah, I'm not quite sure where the A6 is going to sit as a planner. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'll have to report back next year, because sometimes I do find the weekly planner is a bit short of space for me. You know, planning like this works sometimes, but at times I found myself running out of room within the one day, and it leaks over here and things got a bit messy. So we'll see. But in terms of weight, this is about as much weight as I would like to carry around in my handbag, because this is pretty hefty. So we'll see. We'll see. I will definitely report back, and I'll definitely come back to you with Hobonichi 2021. So stay tuned for that. I'll talk to you then. Bye.